Okay. My guest today is Stefan Kimmel. Stefan is the CEO of M2, an Abu Dhabi based crypto exchange. I believe it was actually the crypto exchange endorsed by Kevin O'Leary. So I'm sure we'll talk about that, but we'll get to that. Welcome to the show, Stefan.
Thanks, Andy, for having me. Pleasure to be in the show.
Pleasure to have you here. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. It would be great if you could please introduce yourself. Love to hear a little bit about your personal and professional backstory. What have you been doing in the lead up to founding M2, a crypto exchange?
Yeah, of course, Andy. I'm actually a late adopter, late to crypto. I've been in traditional banking and financial services for the longest time. Started out as a consultant with BCG and Oliver Wyman, always working in fintech and digital transformation for fintechs and traditional banks. Always the focus on using strategy to offer better products and services to customers. Did then the same thing as an IT service provider with IBM for a few years, and finally converted to being a full-on banker for 2 years here in the Middle East. Based on that, or from there, again, looking at ways to get to better services and products using technology, crypto sooner or later became inevitable. So it was the obvious and most exciting thing to do in the space. So I jumped ship and joined Kraken about 3.5 years ago here in Dubai, and finally had the opportunity to launch M2 about 2 years ago. That's what I've been doing since. So finally and happily arrived in the crypto space.
Fantastic. Well, lots to talk about then, Stefan. Like it seems to me like your part of the world, I guess Dubai, the Middle East even, is beginning to emerge as a crypto hub all of a sudden. I suppose that does make sense. There's obviously a lot of wealth in different parts of the region, but just from your perspective, give us a little sense of what it's like on the ground, and then we'll talk more about M2, of course.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it started, I think, taking up more momentum during COVID, where the UAE was one of the places that was still more open than others and more easily livable and more pleasant to be. So that's when we saw some of the influx. But I think the bigger momentum is we have two regulators here that are very progressive and have clear rules and regulations around crypto. And that really is what most of the industry is looking for right now. Of course, initially it was all operating, or much of it was operating outside of regulations. And then as that came together, more players were looking for places where there's clear rules, where there's a clear set of guidelines as what is allowed and what's not allowed, both to protect investors as well as the players, as opposed to what we see in the US, for instance, where that's not the case. Now, with the UAE being ahead of the curve, both ADGM as well as VARA here in Dubai as regulators, that just creates that ecosystem. And then you combine that with a good quality of life and no taxes in the UAE, that helps a little bit as well. We see a tremendous growth of the ecosystem here. We have recently had Token 2049 here. We had the Satoshi Roundtable, a lot of big conferences here. You meet more and more people, and you see many of the guys just settle here because it's a good place to be in crypto. It's a phenomenal ecosystem here.
Yeah, that certainly has emerged over the last year or so as, as you said, one of the places to be. So fascinating to see. Maybe we'll come back to that, but let's just get a bit of a sense, Stefan, for what M2 is, and I suppose let's start. Yeah, what is M2? What's the vision? And we'll talk about some of the different target markets that you're serving and hoping to serve.
Yeah, look, we consider ourselves a crypto investment platform, and that has several elements. One element of that is, of course, everything around trading, buying, selling crypto, both spot and futures. That's the foundation. And we're doing that across various licenses here in the UAE, as well as international licenses. And then the second aspect to that is everything around investing the crypto you already have. Our starting proposition around that is our earn plans. That's actually our flagship products. We're currently offering that's the temporary campaign, 10% on Solana, 10% on Bitcoin, 12% on USDT. So we try to go in with market-leading yields to offer attractive propositions to our customers on a secure and protected platform. That's really the sweet spot. From there on, we're rolling out additional products in the next 2 months, such as crypto lending, so fully collateralized loans on platform. We'll do a payment card is in the making, further investment products, structured products. So it's a fairly rich roadmap all around how to use the crypto you have.
And who is M2 targeted at? Have you built this for, I guess, traders in the UAE, or are you trying to take this kind of global? I'm sure there's, you got to do it one step at a time. But yeah, talk us through that.
So the aspiration is international, of course. I mean, of course, the UAE is a home base, but we're already offering it to all markets where we can, based on our licenses. Of course, we excluding sanctioned countries and countries where local legal boundaries do not allow us to offer the services. We're completely excluding the US, unfortunately, for now, until the regulatory framework there is a bit clearer. Other than that, the aspiration is to fight for licenses and registrations in all major countries and major jurisdictions, to be able to offer our services in a fully regulated fashion everywhere.
Yeah, well, on that then, Stefan, you'll be very all too well aware that the crypto exchange space is reasonably competitive, and for now, even in the likes of the US, well, not just the US, there are Bitcoin ETFs in several countries around the world now. So to be for people to use a crypto exchange or even an investment platform, depends how you want to frame it. But you do have to be offering something different, or perhaps you have to, as you've talked about, offer a really good yield, great UI, great UX, perhaps all of these things. So I guess, how do you go about thinking how you can steal, potential market share off other exchanges and get new people as they start to look at crypto and, help them choose M2?
Look, it's exactly those two components. The one side of it is really being regulated and being transparent and being safe. That helps both with existing users that are already in crypto, as well as with attracting new users to the space. In terms of the existing user base, there's obviously consolidation going on because of, as you said, it's a very competitive market. Not everybody can keep up, especially as the costs of compliance are tremendously grown. And a lot of the smaller platforms just cannot or do not want to go through that hurdle, or over that hurdle, I should say, and either stop competing or merge with other larger players. The consolidation points. So that is one big element. For new entrants to the market, and we see a lot of that, by the way, based on BlackRock and the ETFs and everything else that is happening. That is giving more credibility to the space than anything the traditional players could ever do. It's amazing what that has done. We see a lot of interest from new entrants. And then again, we're trying to position ourselves as a natural entry point with our setup and our positioning. So that's the regulatory side. That's the foundation really for everything. And then the combination with that of attractive yields, especially for more long-term minded investors, for holders, for people who want to hold Bitcoin for longer duration, or other assets for longer duration, who do not necessarily want to trade in and out on a daily basis on the latest meme coin and get rich fast. I think this seems to be a very attractive proposition.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. So you've got that for earn Solana. So 10% APY on your Solana. That's not bad. That's pretty good, in fact, Stefan. So and that's just, it's kind of where we are at the moment. I suppose as a user, you need to trust that the exchange, in this case M2, is a regulated, respectable custodian of your assets. But it's staking, earning yield. It is the way of the moment, isn't it?
Absolutely, and as you said, that is probably the biggest question we're getting, because of course there have been enough examples historically that have offered higher yields, and then users put their money there and never saw that again. That's actually one of our obstacles, let's say, our constraining factors for adoption. Since we've been around for 6 months now, so we still 7 months. We're still a relatively young platform. So we still in the process of proving that what we offer is real and it's safe and secure. Again, I mean, our regulatory positioning, I think, plays a big role here. We see that everything we do is audited by third parties. It's supervised by various regulators internationally. And that's usually, especially institutional clients, ask for evidence for that and documentation around that. And thankfully, we've got it all lined up. We can prove it anytime to anybody that assets are safe and we're paying out what we promise. It's no questions around it.
Fantastic. I said in the intro, Stefan, that M2 was once famously endorsed by Kevin O'Leary, and I believe he described you guys as the next a good example of a next generation crypto exchange with the potential to grow to be one of the heavy hitters. I don't know, is he an investor? Is he a partner of yours, or what's the relationship there?
There's no partnership, no investment. We're not paying for it. I think Kevin. So we were caught by surprise and got a lot of questions around it. But Kevin, I think, is spends a lot of time here in the Middle East and looks into investment opportunities and overall market ecosystems. And I think his point was really to contrast the ecosystem in the UAE to that in the US. And he's very outspoken about what he thinks about the lack of clear regulation in the US. So I think the main point he was making when he said that was to contrast the UAE to the US, and he was using us as an example.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point, Stefan. And of course, what's interesting in the US, of course, and I think I had a look through your recent tweets, Stefan, as I tend to do before I speak to people. But I saw that you were, I think you mentioned Donald Trump's recent comments in support of cryptos. Funny how the Donald, if you like, has essentially reversed his position on crypto and now is embracing crypto, which is quite surprising to see. But of course, it's not surprising because it's a really good way of contrasting his position against some of the Democrats, the likes of Elizabeth Warren and the SEC, Gary Gensler, and so on. What do you make of what's happening in the US? And as you kind of talked about that lack of regulatory clarity under Gary Gensler's SEC. But for the first time, Stefan, it feels like crypto is going to be main stage on an American presidential election, which would be quite exciting.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And I think, again, the world looks at the US when driving capital markets globally and investment markets and global liquidity. It's just such a big market. That's why it was interesting to see first the banks coming around and TradFi royalty coming around with ETFs. I have a Goldman and a BlackRock launching Bitcoin commercials on national TV. That's a complete game changer in terms of the perception and the sentiment around Bitcoin and other assets. And now we see a similar aspect in the US elections, and it's amazing to see that Bitcoin or crypto even plays a role as a national campaign topic. And clearly, Donald Trump taking a counter position, whatever tactical calculations might be driving that. It's just the fact that he's public. I mean, he's not fully endorsing it, I'd say, but he's at least saying he's okay with it. I think he's taking a careful stance since he's still more than anything else promoting the US dollar. But nevertheless, the revised stance he's taking on it, and that being a potentially significant or at least a marginal factor in the US elections is quite remarkable. And I think, again, it shows the increasing role and importance of crypto and that being a springboard, of course, for wider adoption.
Yeah, look, very, very well said, Stefan, and I very much agree. You come from a traditional banking or finance background, if you like, or you've spent some time in traditional finance. You talked about how it's amazing to see the likes of BlackRock and and Goldman even, slowly kind of come around but the Bitcoin ETFs effectively endorse Bitcoin as an investable asset class. But there's still, I imagine, a lot of, let's just say, suits from the traditional finance world, like Jamie Dimon springs to mind, who are still very suspicious, if you like. How would you kind of characterize, the attitudes from traditional finance? I'm sure you still have colleagues that you talk to, and I'm sure there's some people that are ready to kind of embrace the new world, but some people that are still suspicious, I imagine.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned Jamie Dimon, who's very outspoken against Bitcoin, yet JP Morgan is just revealed that they're actually investing in it. So even within large institutions, not one opinion might be prevailing. But it's exactly that. I think, look, in the financial institution space, as well as the wider space, you obviously have more, I'd say, risk averse and more traditional minds. You have others that are a bit more progressive and interested in newer elements. Similar to what you would have had in other technologies, or even what we would see in AI to some degree. You have some that are already embracing it, they're jumping on the bandwagon, especially everybody around trading and investment. And then the more traditional crowd is obviously more risk-minded. I mean, bear in mind the core and center of banking is risk management. So it's by design an industry that is very focused on risk, and of course it is still a high risk asset. There's no doubt about it. We consider it money. There's obviously stable coins that have completely different characteristics, but by and large it bears higher risk and higher returns than other asset classes. It's just a fact. So still guys are still in two minds. I think we slowly see more and more guys coming around.
Yep. I'd love to just bring it back to, I guess, the UAE, your part of the world. Obviously there's a large amount of wealth in kind of different parts of that part of the world. What is the kind of general thinking on Bitcoin or crypto, I suppose, from different sectors? I suppose I'm really thinking about the high net worths and so on. Are they ready to consider crypto as an investable asset class? What's the thinking?
Absolutely. I mean, I talked to treasuries, to banks, to sovereign wealth funds here, to large institutional investors, as well as to high net worths. And there's recently been some publications that have the UAE up as the highest crypto adoption in the world. I always take those with a grain of salt, but it's definitely up there amongst the highest. Part of that actually is also driven not only by speculative reasons. It's also because the UAE is heavily entrenched in trading routes into the Middle East and Africa, as well as into Asia. Now, trading is difficult with countries that don't have a very mature banking system, because sometimes it's difficult to get money in and out, get paid, get settled. There's monetary restrictions, etc. And stable coins turn out to be a great vehicle to manage that. So and that's remarkable in the sense that we often hear that there's the only use case for crypto speculation and illicit activities. Whoever says that doesn't take a look at what the actual majority of the money flows is, or asset flows is. It's actually for trading in international trade routes, where in some countries it might be difficult. It takes 2-3 weeks and very high costs to get money in and out. You can do that instantly, anytime, 24/7, using stable coins. So that's another major driver here, specific to the Middle East, for why crypto adoption is so high, on top of obviously the investment reasons.
Yep. Makes sense. Thank you for that. You mentioned token 2049, I think it was called. That was a few weeks ago. That's the one. Is that the one where it rained? And some slightly unusually.
A little bit, yeah. It was a nightmare. Dubai's not really known for rain,
no.
So that caught a lot of people off guard, and it was a total nightmare.
Yeah.
I can't say any others.
All right. Well, look, as we finish up this part of the podcast, Stefan, just look, please, for people that are listening and look, they want to take a look at M2, just make the case for why they should do so, why they should come and check out what you're offering, and where they should go to do so.
Okay, so the thanks for that opportunity. Of course, I think the key is high yields on a secure and regulated platform is why you should check. You can see us on m2.com. We are on Twitter and LinkedIn and other social media as M2 Exchange. So please feel free to check us out.
Awesome. And of course, links will be in the show notes, listeners. I think what we do now, Stefan, is we'll finish off by running you through the very famous crypto conversation hot take round. Are you up for it?
All right, bring it on.
Bring it on, Stefan. All right, just going to run some questions at you. Just want you kind of honest hot take style answers. Question 1 for you is, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
At the moment for this year, pretty maximalist.
Yep, makes sense. Put some meat on the bones. Why?
I think there's so many macro trends and institutional inflow that are very concentrated in Bitcoin, at least for the rest of the year. The others, in my mind, will more likely to follow next year. None of this is, of course, investment advice. It goes without saying.
Of course. All right. Well, what would you say then is your firmest conviction crypto opinion, Stefan?
There's a very strong future for crypto, for especially the large caps and stable coins. They're here to stay, and there's no doubt about it in my mind.
Yeah. Look, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. With that in mind, Stefan, anything you like, Bitcoin, blockchain, M2, what does it look like in 10 years' time?
Or 10 years, we hope to have global presence with a very rich product spectrum, crypto being largely adopted internationally by traditional as well as non-traditional financial institutions and the broader community out there.
Very well said. William Gibson, sci-fi author, William Gibson famously said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, Stefan, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Well, with the latest releases of AI 2 nights ago, I definitely think that's my most prevalent example of the future being here. But many people would have heard of it by now. They might not have tested it, but that to me is amazing what we're seeing there.
Yeah, so you're talking about the new videos from product videos from OpenAI.
Yes.
But suddenly talking chat GPT, flirty talking chat GPT.
It's crazy good. I tried to download it. It doesn't fully work here in the Middle East, unfortunately. I immediately went on to download it and try it out, and especially the math tutoring. That's something I'm definitely going to use at home.
Yeah, absolutely. The game has changed. All right, brings us really nicely to our next and final question, which is finally, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
I've got to go with a classic, Star Wars.
Yep, Star Wars. Hey, it's a classic for a reason. Can't go wrong with Star Wars. Look, it was fun talking today, Stefan. Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us. Wish you nothing but the best with M2. Again, just finish off by telling people how they can find you on X or wherever else you like to hang out online. And again, where people should go to learn all about M2.
Yeah, the best one is m2.com. I am on X with M2 Stefan or on M2 Exchange. That's the company account. Find a lot of news and updates, the newsletter and everything else there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stefan. All the best and bye for now.
Thanks a lot, Andy. Pleasure.
All right, there you go. That was Stefan from M2 in the UAE. Yeah, and look, as we said, Yeah. Total crypto hotspot, emerging hotspot. Because yeah, as Stefan articulated, if you put out crypto-friendly regulations, you're going to attract all sorts of new entrepreneurs, crypto investors, new capital, new liquidity, and it's just good for everyone. So yeah, great to see. And then you get new crypto exchanges like M2. All right, we reached the end of another show. Thanks for listening, team. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. Bye for now.